Hi friends, I'm Stephanie Hansen. Let's go! I've been cooking, eating, and talking about it for years.
This is amazingly good.
Now I'm inviting you along for the ride. You seem like you're pretty adventurous about food. Meet the chefs, home cooks, restaurateurs, and bakers honing their crafts. Oh, look at that technique. And try new recipes with me in my kitchen. It's simple, it's easy, that looks amazing. There's always something delicious to share. This is Taste Buds. When I think about harvest season, I think about the foods that we get from the earth. I think about the Thanksgiving meal, because feasting season for me really starts as we get into the fall. And there's no better person to talk to about feasting season and fall harvest than Sean Sherman. Sean is an amazing human being, and he has done so much to advance the cause of Indigenous food and to help us even understand what is Indigenous food, because I'm telling you, it's probably not what you think it is. Sean is a James Beard Award winner. He's won the Julia Child Award. He's one of Time's 100 most influential people of the year. He's so knowledgeable about food. I cannot wait to talk to him and to learn about the Indigenous ingredients that we should be cooking with. I do love to shop a good food market. We are at the Indigenous Food Lab, and I thought I would just take a spin through the market. We've got bison right around the corner. They have duck, they have goose. Some things that are maybe a little bit harder to find in some of your traditional grocery stores. And I don't know if you've ever had these syrups, but they are super delicious. This is a wild blueberry syrup. This is wild rice from the Red Lake Nation. Also, wild rice flour. Did you know there was such a thing? I'm here with Sean Sherman. He is the sous chef, fancy sous chef. You've had like 1 million awards. You're a James Beard Award winner. You're a Julia Child. I mean, she's like my idol, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's big.
Also, you're the only person I know that's the Time Magazine 100 most influential people. You're the only one I know. Do you know any others? Have you met any others?
Well, we met a bunch of people at the gala this year.
Okay, so that's cool. We are here at your Indigenous Food Lab in the Midtown Global Market, and it's something very new and different. In one respect, you are a fast casual restaurant.
Here, yep.
Yeah, and in another respect, you're a prep kitchen and catering kitchen, and then we have the market behind us. And then, of course, you have the award-winning James Beard restaurant, Awamni. So, who are you? Why are you able to do all this cool stuff?
So, I'm Sean Sherman, obviously.
You are!
I'm just really excited that we are finally getting all of these visions that we've had for years, manifesting now.
Yeah.
Our goal is to be a regional center point to help to develop tribal communities, Indigenous entrepreneurs, to create more food businesses. And we're trying to create access to Indigenous food, trying to create access to Indigenous education, because to us they go hand in hand.
I love it.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's go into your kitchen.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, let's do it.
And what are we gonna make today?
We're just gonna make some tacos that we serve over here. So we got some bison birria, we have some charge just from our garden space. And that's just some of the corns that we utilize to make all these tortillas. And we have some fresh tortillas that they're actually busy making over in our kitchen right now.
Okay. And we're using bison.
We try to purchase as much as we can from Indigenous producers. So all this bison comes from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, which is a Lakota tribe in South Dakota. A lot of tribes are starting to bring more bison back into their communities.
Because I always thought they were kind of extinct, not extinct, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, endangered, that's the word.
The American bison was targeted by the US government as a means to weaken a lot of the tribes in the West. So they spent tons of money throughout the 1860s and 70s to destroy that animal by just paying hunters to take as many as they can.
Really?
So hundreds of millions of these animals were just wiped off the earth in a couple of decades, almost to extinction. And the purpose, again, was to hurt the tribes that were still holding on to their own sovereign nations out here. And it did work, you know?
Yeah, they got rid of the bison almost. So good. I'm glad we're bringing bison back.
Absolutely.
The meat is delicious.
Yeah, and it's part of our philosophy of just showcasing that there's other proteins out there besides cows, pigs, and chickens, you know, which weren't even from North America.
Yeah.
So we're looking at things that are from here.
And Swiss chard, I love.
We just love greens, so there's a lot of edible greens out there, and we have our beautiful gardens. So I'm just gonna set this over here for a second. Warm up a couple of tortillas for us here. This is the wojapi, so this is just berry sauce.
What kind of berry?
This is mixed, so this has a little bit of aronia, blackberry, blueberry, strawberry, cranberry.
There's so many berries that are in the Midwest that are native too that people don't think about.
Yeah, and then we
Oh, already it smells so good. It's spicy. I can smell a little bit of the fruit from the sauce.
Yeah, because our main focus is just looking at indigenous foods of North America. So we look at Mexico through Alaska, because like the colonial borders don't really matter. So to us, it doesn't matter who's speaking Spanish, French, or English, because those are all European colonial languages.
Right.
Those are foreign languages to the land. So we're really focused more on showcasing and highlighting a lot of this foods that are indigenous, and Mexican food is more indigenous than it is, Spanish or French.
Absolutely.
Whatever. And because we just have this little lunch counter, we wanted some easy things for people to share, to be able to taste and try.
It's also like an easy way to access foods that you're not familiar with when you put them in tacos. Let's just be honest.
So that's pretty much it. It's just a bison taco.
All I do on this show is eat, so it's time to eat.
Yeah, help yourself.
All right.
I'll take a bite with you.
Wow. They're kind of spicy. I love.
Just a little tiny bit. It's just some of the dried chilies we're using in the birria. So, there's some guajillo,
good.
some ancho, there's a few different kinds, morita.
I also like the salsa, and there's squash in there too.
Because it's corned beans and squash, so the three sisters.
So how do you do the squash? Did you pickle it or?
Yeah, so the squash and the corn, everything is just pickled. Just
Love.
like a quick pickle, So
Okay.
it just gives it a little tang.
Super
It's fun.
delicious,
Yep.
a super soft tortilla. When you were growing up in the restaurant business and you had all these restaurant jobs, were you familiar with these ingredients, or how did you get so smart about indigenous food?
I worked in a lot of restaurants in Minneapolis because I moved here in the late 90s. Quickly, I moved my way into an executive chef career, and I didn't go to culinary school. I remember my very first restaurant job, they asked me, where did I learn culinary? And I was like, well, I just worked restaurants a lot, and I would go down to what used to be a bookstore in Calhoun Square, and I would just sit in the cookbook area, just pull books down and take notes and then put them back. And that's all I learned. I couldn't even afford the books back then.
Oh, that's amazing.
But I was working in kitchen, so I would have these recipes to test and try. And then eventually when I realized the absence of indigenous everything, even in my own education, that changed everything, because all the cooking fads didn't mean anything to me anymore.
Yeah.
And it was really about trying to figure out, how can I learn this? How can I move forward with this with very little information, So I'd always tease that I couldn't just go online and buy Joy of Native American Cooking
No,
to
you
learn
could not.
because it didn't exist. So I had to really put
You wrote
myself
it.
out there. Yeah, kind of,
You
a little
did.
bit. So
You and I talked a long time ago about Thanksgiving.
sure.
And I've learned a lot about Thanksgiving from you, from your book, just from being probably more aware.
Right.
As we round the corner to Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
what do you want people to know about this weird holiday tradition that we celebrate? The Charlie Brown Thanksgiving comes to mind, where they
Yeah.
all sit at this long table and they've got the Native American feathers and the big
Pilgrims and
turkey
Indians.
comes to the table. Yes.
It is a harmful stereotype, and it's not necessary. It doesn't really say anything about indigenous communities, If you want to honor indigenous communities, do it through food. Buy native food products from native food producers, and practice building some recipes that might taste like where you happen to live at.
Yeah.
And then take a moment of pause to think about all of the hardships that a lot of indigenous communities had to go through to still be alive today, I know our team is putting together little gift boxes to help people indigenize their Thanksgiving dinner, and there'll be a whole bunch of native food products and recipes for them to follow, to have a bunch of sides of things at their dinner to really, and be able to have that story.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're going to do a Christmas gift box too
Yep,
from
we're
the
gonna
market.
put the holidays together, so Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you want to celebrate.
Yeah.
We'll put it all together, but it'll just be nice boxes with a whole bunch of, fun offerings of things that we have over here in the market.
Should people follow you on social media, because you are talking about recipes and ingredients that maybe people aren't familiar with?
Yeah, an easy one is just my name, SeanSherman.com, which goes to all of the things we've created, but there's also natifs.org, and it's NATIFS, because that's the nonprofit. The acronym is North American Traditional Indigenous Food Systems. And under Natives is everything, because we have the Indigenous Food Lab, now we have a WAMNI, and we have all of this stuff being built. And we're model building of things that we want to put in other regions too. Other training kitchens and studio kitchens and other market spaces and other production kitchens and other restaurants that can really be focused on the cultures and diversity of wherever we might be.
Can you clone yourself?
I don't know, I guess we'll find out, right?
Absolutely, because that's some like.
I don't think my clone's gonna like that though, because I'll be on a beach somewhere.
It's gonna be very busy. Yes, but you know, if you've cloned enough of you, maybe no one will know that it's not the real Sean Sherman. Well, thanks for having us out today. It was really fun to share your story.
Absolutely.
But also, I've seen you speak a couple of times. You are such a generous, humble, regular soul.
Oh, thanks.
So I wanted people to just spend time with you and really see how much of this vision you thought up all this long time ago, and you're really realizing it.
Yeah, everything's manifesting, so we feel really good at where we're at right now. So, and we have so much possibility for the future.
Yeah, and the people you're bringing along with you too.
Yeah.
All right, thanks Sean for having us.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We are back from the Indigenous Food Lab, and I picked up some Red Lake Nation wild rice because I was thinking, you know, Sean's done all this work about helping us understand what are Indigenous foods, and I wanted to be able to cook something with things I had to think about, like, was this here originally? Did it come over from somewhere else? But I think I've come up with a great recipe that honors his work. So we're gonna start with an acorn squash, and we're gonna stuff it with a wild rice stuffing that is made with all Indigenous ingredients. So first I'm gonna show you how to cut an acorn squash pretty handily. What I usually do is I get it started with my knife. I'm going to go ahead and just smack it pretty hard so that I can get this all the way through. That really works. And here's a Hansen hack. All of the things that you can use to get the seeds out of a squash, the number one tool is the ice cream scoop. It allows you to easily scoop out all the seeds, all the strings. See how easily that works? I went ahead and already cooked a couple of acorn squash. I laid it upside down on a piece of parchment paper with oil. I rubbed oil inside it. I used sunflower oil because that's Indigenous. And I flipped them upside down, and I just got these pretty much cooked all the way through. I also, because wild rice can take a while to cook, I cooked this in my Instant Pot. I used a cup of rice, 2 cups of liquid, and I put it in there for 30 minutes. If you don't have an Instant Pot, that's fine. I have instructions for how you can make wild rice in this recipe on your stovetop. You can find all of that at fox9.com/tastebuds. So we've got our rice. Also, when we cooked the squash, I cooked some sweet potatoes because I did not know that sweet potatoes were Indigenous foods to the Americas, and they are. I roasted them for about 25 minutes, and I cut them pretty small because I just want them to be more flavoring, not the star of the dish. Also, Swiss chard is Indigenous too. I like the pretty red color of the stems, so I usually use a little bit of those when I'm cooking. I also used mushrooms, which you can imagine that mushrooms were here because we still find them in the woods today. Also, cranberries. Now we know cranberries are Indigenous, and sage is Indigenous. I've got 2 teaspoons of salt, which seems like a lot, but we want to make sure that our wild rice has a lot of flavoring. We've got walnuts, and we've pretty much got everything in here. We're just going to give it a quick stir, and we're going to stuff our squash. So we're gonna want a little bit of seasoning and a little bit of fat. So I'm using maple syrup. And we're gonna cook it for 10 minutes at 350 just to get it heated up again. The moment of truth is here. It's time to take our squash out of the oven. Ooh, yum. It smells so delicious. We're basically just reheating all the ingredients and letting that maple syrup get down into the acorn squash. Now for serving, it's kind of intended to be 1/2 of a squash per person. My friend Debbie Wolk made me a taste bud platter and a little bowl there, which is so cute. We're gonna get a little bit of the acorn squash and a little bit of the stuffing in every bite. Yum. So nutty. A little sweet with that maple syrup and the cranberries. Really like homey with the sage and the salt. And it's all coming together with a little bit of the hint of the nut and the sunflower oil. This is really a delicious dish that feels just like Minnesota harvest time. It's got all of the elements, and we're eating all Indigenous foods that we learned about from Sean Sherman. I really learned a lot. Like, it was just a great episode for me to learn exactly what I'm eating and where my food's coming from as I think about preparing for Friendsgiving and Thanksgiving. You guys, thank you for coming along on this journey at Midtown Global Market and in my kitchen. Thanks to Indigenous Food Lab and Sean Sherman, we learned a lot today. You can find this recipe at fox9.com/tastebuds. See you next time, taste buds.